There you go. It says setting up your meeting, but I think on Zoom it actually says you're live on Facebook.
It does say we're live on Facebook.
Yeah. So
I do think we are. We just said it a minute ago. If not, we'll just have a nice chat. It's fine.
I know. If we're live on Facebook, then welcome everyone to my chat with Julie Harris this evening. And I know I put it was yesterday. I probably confused a few people, but you know we're here now.
Confused me because I was like, literally, I went, shit, it's tonight. I'm meant to be there, and I wasn't anywhere near the computer.
No, I suddenly realised that I put that post out, and then I suddenly realised that I'd messed up all. See, today I think it's Friday. I still think it's Friday, but it's not, is it? It's Thursday. So
it's Thursday. I don't normally work Thursdays, so Thursdays is always a good day for me. But then because it's Good Friday tomorrow, I thought, oh, I'll work Thursday instead. So it's me thinking I've got a lovely Easter break. I've got no different to what I normally have.
No, twisted your arm and made you work Thursdays. So, Julie, welcome to our Facebook group and our Facebook chat. I know you've been hanging out in the group for a while, so hopefully you're enjoying it and seeing some useful content and stuff. You're a pet groomer, you own your own business, you do pet groomer training as well, and the founder of the Groomers Spotlight, aren't you? So
I am, yes.
You're a very busy person. So you said in your bio you got into grooming almost 40 years ago, so perhaps you can tell us a little bit as to how you got into that business, how you got into the grooming business, and what it was like almost 40 years ago.
Yeah, right. First, I need to apologise because have I not got the best lockdown here of anybody? when I sent you that picture for the bio, I was like, oh my God, they're going to log in and go, who the bloody hell's that?
That's all right. It's lockdown.
So, no, I'm going grey, and I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. I've been grey since I was 28, and I've been using the bottle ever since. Well, my mum was white when she got married, so I'm like, I'm doing this. I am doing this. So, best lockdown hair ever. So yeah, how did I get into grooming? Well, I went to a girls' school, and if you weren't doing 8 O-levels as it was in those days, you had to do work experience. And I was doing 6. So I was like, okay, so I'll do some work experience. And like most sort of, I don't know, 16, 17-year-olds, I don't know about you guys, but I have no idea what I wanted to do. You know, I'd chosen my options. I was like, I was going to go into agriculture. I was really, really big on agriculture, and got accepted for University, and thought, oh, what should I do with these work experience? And I went to work at a kennels.
Oh, really?
Happened to be a really influential kennels. I really fell on my feet. I landed at the kennels that brought the first Briards into the country back in the 60s. So it's amazing kennels.
Yeah.
And walked in on my first day to be surrounded by about 18 Briards. Apart from the smell hitting me and me not being able to breathe, I thought to myself, oh my God, I've literally landed in heaven. And worked at the kennels during my work experience. She offered me a summer job. I did that all through the summer, thoroughly enjoyed it. I think kennel work's an amazing foundation to grooming. You learn behaviour, you learn handling. And went back to school to do my A-levels, and lasted about 6 weeks.
He didn't like it. He didn't want to do A-levels.
No, and I come from a really big banking background, so my father was absolutely horrified that I wanted to pick up shit for the rest of my life, really. And so they had a little grooming salon at the kennels. So I kind of thought, oh, I could give this grooming a try. And yeah, I paid for my own training because my parents didn't really approve, so I had to save up my own money and pay for my own training. And my dad, bless him, drove me to my training. He supported me that way, but he said, you know, we're not paying for it. If this is what you want to do, you do it. And yeah, I did 2 months training. I live in the South Coast, so I went to Sevenoaks, and yeah, became a dog groomer. But you know, the stupidest thing is my training was 2 months. I didn't do a head.
Oh, really? They didn't train you?
Every time you groomed a dog, the owner used to come along and go, stand aside. And we all used to gather around, we all used to watch. And she used to do the head, and the dog used to go out. And I left feeling that I'd had really good training.
How did you find out that you hadn't? Like,
I knew I hadn't done a head, but I thought, well, obviously that's just the way that people train, that must be what happens. So I left, and having never done a head, and then just sort of like kind of winged it. And all I can say is that I've just thanked God that there were no mobile phones when I started, because
no pictures,
I couldn't take any pictures of any of the work that I did, which was atrocious. I did no formal qualifications and worked at the kennels. And then, in all honesty, in them days, you know, we are talking 40 years ago, there was no money to be made in grooming. You know, you're in a little shed at the back of a kennel. And I decided to keep it as a really enjoyable hobby. And I went into retail management, into pharmacy, and worked for Boots for 15 years.
All right.
And still kept the grooming as a really enjoyable hobby. And I show my dogs. So I was in the dog show circuit and all that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, PetSmart came into the country. And I remember driving to work one day, seeing this big sign, PetSmart opening, and I was really, really excited. And when I got a job there, totally blagged the interview. Anybody here that's at Pets at Home now, oh my God, did I blag the interview? Totally. I went into a trials test, head thing again. Got to the head, went to them with that word, and I went to them, oh my goodness, is that the time? I'm really sorry, I've got to go somewhere. And I left, didn't do the dog's head, and I got the job.
No way.
I absolutely got the job, yeah.
Excellent.
And then it just opened up everything for me. It opened up qualifications. It opened up, you know, they got taken over by Pets at Home. I mean, I've had a lovely career. I used to do with a friend in Surrey, Mr. Al Fayed, dogs. So those of you who don't know him, he used to own Harrods. So I was really friendly with the family. They decided to open a pet spa in Harrods. So we were the obvious choice to go in there. So yeah, I spent sort of a few enjoyable years setting up the pet spa in Harrods, and you know.
So, well, I've got to interject there. So you ran a dog groomers in Harrods. Well,
yeah.
we had a very interesting comment one day. We had a customer come to us and said, you know what, it's better than Harrods, our dog grooming at our place.
Yeah, we were in Harrods. Yeah.
That's still there as well, isn't it? They still do.
No. They, when Mr. Al-Fayed sold, he sold to the Qatari royal family, and they took the whole thing out. They totally, Pets went, and Pets had been in there almost to the month 100 years.
I remember going up.
Years. Yeah. And it didn't matter, whenever you got in the lift, everybody used to say, where's the department? And it's gone, totally gone. Oh, have you frozen? Are you still there? Have I frozen?
Was it on the top floor, wasn't it? I think I remember going there.
Fourth floor. We were on the fourth floor, yeah.
So your claim to fame was being over at Harrods.
Yeah, loved it, absolutely loved it. And I did teaching before Harrods. I just love it. I became a qualified teacher, so just kind of jumped on the bandwagon of education. Just love it.
So what kind of dogs did you practice on when you were learning to become a dog groomer? Were the breeds completely different then as to what they are now?
Well, the place I trained, she bred poodles. So we did a lot of poodles. And of course, all those years ago, there weren't really comb attachments. So you learn, that's the only thing I'll say is probably my skill level was quite good, because you learned, you didn't have comb attachments, you had to scissor everything. So that was, you know, something that we did. So my scissor, I remember when the comb attachments came, you know, we all struggle with them, and I'd be like, oh, I'll just bloody scissor it. I'm quicker at scissoring than what I am using these things. And even to today, I do perhaps take a body off, but I very rarely do legs with comb attachments. I prefer to scissor. I'm just so much quicker. So, but yeah, apart from the breeds, a lot of pedigree. Obviously, no cockapoos or anything like that.
No, I was going to say, you see we've been in the industry for 16 years, and over those years, you kind of see a real change in fashions and like popular breeds. We used to do loads of Bouviers, but we don't see as many Bouviers anymore. Scotties and Westies, like you said, it's more sort of Cockapoos and Poo crosses now, isn't it? For your general.
I also think that quite a few breeds are regional. I know, I've done training with people which have, have got Bedlingtons on their books, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Bedlingtons. And, I probably groomed for 20 years before I did a Bedlington. Yeah. And I know that, we do lots of Shih Tzus and Schnauzers and Cocker Spaniels where we are. And yet other people, do loads of Wild Fox Terriers. So I think it does depend on where you are as to, what your common breeds are. I was just reading, I don't know if anybody else gets it. This is a good publication to get, PBW. And this arrived this morning, and I was just reading in that before we came live. Do you know there's been an extra 3 million pets bought in the lockdown?
I was actually doing the school run this morning, and I was looking at all the mums and dads walking to school.
Yeah.
I just thought, actually, there's so many more dogs kicking about. There's so many more dogs being walked with the family, sort of thing. And I thought, yeah.
It says here, staggeringly increase in pet ownership during coronavirus pandemic. And they now reckon that we've got 12 million dogs in the UK, whereas we always used to band about 9. You used to say it was about 9 million, 12 million. Yeah. And if you think that's 2 million dogs, if every groomer does sort of, 4 dogs a day, 5 days a week, that's 20 dogs a week. On an 8-week rota, that's 160 dogs. You only need 160 dogs for a client base. We've got an extra 2 million coming in. Yeah. We need groomers. We need a lot of groomers.
I know when I spoke to you before, you always like, there is enough work out there for everyone.
Oh my God. And then some, There really is. I know a lot of people go, oh, there's a groomer down the road that's opened up for me. And I'm obviously incredibly pro-education, but don't worry about the groomer down the road opening up from you, because there is literally enough work for everybody.
Just be the best.
And if they undercut you, be proud. We work on the proviso, and trust me, my customers do not know who I am. They don't have a clue. Quite often they don't want me to groom their dogs because they go, I've actually had a customer say, oh, can I have somebody younger with more patience? And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Just because I'm older don't mean I haven't got any patience. So, but we pride ourselves on being, expensive. And if another groomer opened up and was the same price as me, I would put my prices up.
So let's look at that. And what does that do? How do you feel that benefits your business by being the most expensive groomer out there? Does it affect the quality of customer that you get? And
I don't think so, no, because, I live in St Leonard's. I don't know how many of you listening sort of know the area. And, no disrespect to any of our customers, is I can have a customer literally with one tooth in their head, or I can have a customer that's got a second home down by the sea and they live in London.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I really can. And, you get, all of you have it. You get a customer that comes in with a little money bag and they've been saving for the dog's groom. Or, you've got customers that are, just it's, or let's book him in for 3 weeks because he got a bit smelly at 4.
And my gardener or my cleaner will bring the dog over to you.
That was the tricky thing in Harrods, was the fact that we didn't always see the owner. So you'd get the au pair or something, and you'd be like, "Oh, how's that?" And they go, "Okay," and you go, "How are we grooming Molly today?" And they go, and you go, "Oh, great." And you go, "Where's Mrs. So and so?" "Oh, she's in New York." And you go, "Oh, great."
So hopefully you'll be there for another 4 weeks. And you won't,
thankfully, if I shave your dog, if she's away for long enough, she won't know anyway.
She won't get to see the head.
No, it's true. No, I've got really good at heads now. You'd be pleased to know.
So with your pricing, there's been a few comments within the group lately, sort of saying, people around my way won't pay that, or I don't want to ask for that sort of money from the people that come and see me. What would you say to people with that kind of mindset around their pricing and stuff?
I think with your pricing, you've got to almost start at the finish and work your way backwards. So you've got to go, I'm running a business, my rent is this much, my electricity is this much, my shampoo is this much. So how much do I need to earn? Yeah. So if I want to groom 3 dogs a day, 3 dogs are going to be more expensive than if I've got the speed to groom 4 dogs a day. So, and if I'm grooming 5 dogs a day, that's different. So you kind of work it backwards, and we generally work on about an hourly rate. I know that I generally charge around about £35 an hour. So if a dog takes me 2 hours, it's £70. Mm-hmm. If a dog only takes me an hour, I groom quite quick. I'm quite a quick groomer. So, you know, some people might decide that their hourly rate is £25 an hour. You know, I'm going to work between 9 and 3 to fit it in with the kids, you know, to pay all my bills and to make a profit and to, you know, have a good turnout. I need to charge £25 an hour. And if this dog that's come in heavily matted and has taken me 3 hours, then it's going to be 75 quid. Mm. And I think people understand, people don't like surprises.
Right.
You know, you can't get a dog in and then charge them what they're not expecting to pay. That's, you know, that's not acceptable. I mean, I'm always, because of COVID, we've had a lot of issues with the fact that we're not touching the dogs until the owner's gone.
Yeah. So
they're coming in, they're putting them on the pet park, they're leaving, we're coming through getting the dog. And, you know, you get the dog and you say to an owner, oh, is he matted? And an owner is either, well, they're either one way or the other, aren't they? They either go, oh my God, it's like they phone up and go, oh, it needs welfare groom. It's incredibly matted. You get it in and it's like a bit behind its ear and a bit on its backside, and you're like, you know, that's heavily matted, is it? And then you get the opposite end of the spectrum where they go, oh no, there's a couple of knots on it, or I brush it every day. And then you get it in and you know, you've got a 7F it. So, you know, you're always on the phone going, look, I've just checked Toby over and, you know, he is quite heavily matted. And so therefore it's going to take me a wee while to get it off. So, you know, it's be a 2-hour appointment today. So that's going to be, you know, £50-60.
Yeah, and Jacqueline's just put on the comments, actually, do you think it's worth saying how much you charge per hour rather than per dog?
It's entirely up to you. Yeah. It's a real tricky thing because, again, I've had customers phone up and go, oh, can you fit my dog in? It's only little, it won't take you long. You know, we've all had that and we're like, do you know, I think I'll be the judge of that. Yeah. Because the little ones can be little shites and they can take you much longer than a Labrador that's, you know, so it is tricky. It is tricky. And it doesn't help sometimes when it's a new client that's been to another groomer and you know, they are naughty and the groomer hasn't divulged that. They've just kind of gone, oh, can't tell them they're really naughty. They're really naughty, you know, because they won't like it, you know. But I think every owner knows what their dog's like. They're not stupid. And I think there's always a way of showing that you've actually captured their dog's temperament. You know, I mean, I had a little a puppy in today, a Welsh Terrier puppy. Absolutely lovely. We always do a couple of face, feet and bums. And my prepper Claire's great. So she prepped it and she literally looked across me and said to me, I think this one's going to need a couple more face, feet and bums till you try and hand strip this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll see how it goes. Well, it was like, you know, it's like trying to hit a moving target. It was ridiculous. I mean, so I said, you know, when she came back, I said, he's a real character, isn't it? He's a bit lively at the minute. And she goes, oh, yes, he is, you know. You know, it's tricky because sometimes you say to him, oh, he's a bit of a bugger, isn't he? You know, he does go for the brush a bit. And sometimes they go, really? Oh, no, not normally. And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, what have you done to him to make him...
Yeah, oh.
Very,
we're all open plan, thank God, which I think's a, you know, a godsend because we're literally just, you know, people can see everything. They can, you know, there's nothing to hide. And we're right opposite a pub. So which hasn't been open, but I know a couple of summers ago I was doing this really, really tricky cat that was tricky, a very tricky customer.
Noisy.
And noisy, and it was really aggressive. And the owner was thrilled to bits that we managed to do it. And I finished his cat, put it in the box, turned to the guys, and then all across the road, because they'd all been outside the pub, they're all cheering them. They've been the absolute source of entertainment for everybody outside the pub, and they were going, "Way!" when I finally got this cat back in this box.
Managed it.
It
So
was
how
really
did you
fun.
how did you get into cat grooming? Because obviously you did your dog grooming course and missed the heads and
Yeah. That wasn't the course. That was my training, Bill. Course, my training.
How did you get into cat grooming after that? And what made you go into cat grooming? Why did you?
A bit of a funny story, really, in the fact that I got asked to write a cat grooming course. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I can write a cat grooming course. I've been grooming cats for years, so that's no problem. I'll write that for you. Did a bit of research and then suddenly realised for 20 years I've been grooming cats wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, honest to God. And I was like, shit. You know, no wonder people don't like grooming cats. No wonder I don't particularly like grooming cats. No wonder I keep getting it wrong. And so I looked at courses in the UK and I wasn't too impressed with them. There was nothing accredited. There was nothing that was, I mean, I'm all into, I do agree with sort of holistic methods and that sort of stuff, but you can't, you need skill. You need skill and you need training.
Yeah.
You know, just to sort of sit there and you know, kind of be a little bit natural with things like that is like, that's great, but you do need to have underpinning knowledge so that you can make an informed decision. So the only things I could find were, to me, didn't give me that informed decision. They were like, you know, you've got to find your inner cat. And in all fairness and in all honesty, I don't really like cats. So I didn't really have an inner cat. Do you know what I mean? I've never really, well, I've owned one cat, but I'm just not a cat person.
What do they mean by your inner cat? Is that like how to plan how to scratch you, or how
I
to
know, I think it's more
or...
like cats like cat people, don't they?
Yeah.
And you know, I think cats knew that I was a dog person and they were kind of on the back foot already going, yeah, I've sized you up. And I could never portray this cat person to a cat. So I researched and I actually ended up going to the States.
Wow.
For over a month to do their cat grooming course. So I packed off over there and yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was a fabulous course. It taught me everything. It really did. Made me a cat groomer, made me a cat person, but it was really hard work. I was really surprised because I think, you know, my husband was under the impression I was going to America for a month for a bit of a jolly.
Oh, a jolly, yeah.
And it was literally Monday. I arrived on the Saturday. I had Sunday to recover. I was in school on Monday. Monday to Friday, you were in school. Saturday, Sunday, you studied. You went back to, I literally had one day off in the month when I went to a local zoo. But the rest of the time was hard study. It was really hard.
So was it a lot of theory or?
Yeah, it was. There was the practical side of it was really interesting. You have to become a bit fearless.
Yeah.
So they kind of teach you that, how to be fearless. But it was, when you think about it, we learn all about breeds of dog, don't we?
Yeah.
All about breeds of dog. And then suddenly you're a cat groomer. And I mean, Maine Coon, that was about it. And then there was 120 breeds of cats I had to learn.
Yeah. And all their different personalities and traits.
Personalities, traits. There's single-coated cats,
yeah,
double-coated cats. There's bloody triple-coated cats. I mean, who on earth gave a cat a triple coat was having a laugh? I can tell you that for nothing. And then it's all like, we know about diseases of dogs, don't we? We know about parvovirus, hepatitis, you know, all of that distemper. It didn't even dawn on me that I would need to learn that for cats. So I had to learn all the feline diseases, all their signs, all their symptoms, all their skin problems. So everything I learned to do with dog grooming, I had to relearn it again. And it really brought home to me that totally different species, totally, and which it clearly is.
Yeah.
So why dog groomers think that they can just groom cats, I have no idea, because I did, and I seriously got it wrong. So the handling's different, everything is different.
So did you bring all that back, and then did you come back and write the course?
I came back and I wrote the course, and felt really, really pleased with being able to kind of give the students the information that they needed, right down to temperament testing. The thing is we see a dog walk in the salon, so we see it coming down the road, don't we? Or we see the way it looks at us, the way it is with its owner. A cat arrives in a basket. What does that tell you?
Yeah, you don't know anything until you put your hand near the cat.
But that's strange, because actually where the cat is positioned in the basket tells you a lot about it. So we even learned all that, temperament testing just by visual. Right, where's the cat looking? Is it at the back of the carrier, the front of the carrier? Is it gone underneath the blanket? Yeah. Is it on top of is it trying to mold itself into the plastic? Or is it right at the front going, go on, bring it on,
Yeah, going, I'm ready for you. So sometimes, we do cat grooming, and sometimes we just cannot do it. And we're like, we try our very best, but we're not going to put that cat under so much stress that it's not worth it. Do you find, having done those courses and learned all those skills, are there still cats that you can't do, or do you manage to get around all of them?
Most of them, the training was done by just you, so you never had a helper. So right. you did all the handling yourself. There's been one cat to do. There's been a couple of elderly cats that I've done in 2 parts, because I've it's had enough. Yeah. But I learned also a lot of towel wrapping techniques. Mm-hmm. Which have really stood me in good stead. So those pugs that you can't, you can't do nails on, dachshunds that are really impossible, little chihuahuas that you're like, how much damage can this do? Well, they can do quite a lot of damage when they want to. Yeah. I remember I said to one of my girls once, "Oh, it's only a chihuahua. And how can that hurt you?" And the poor girl's bruised and throbbing hand. But yeah, so I learned. There's an amazing video of this Chinese lady. It's got some hysterical music to it. It's a bit cartoony, but she's fabulous at towel wrapping. So you wrap pressure points, and you can immobilize limbs. So I do quite a lot of towel wrapping around the front of a cat, so that they can't turn their head, and that it calms them down.
Is that just because they're cuddled and a bit like, a little bit like a baby maybe, or just the pressure points and stuff like that?
I think it's very it's foolhardy to cuddle a cat when you grow.
Yeah, but I mean, when you wrap the towel around it.
Oh yeah, it stimulates all that sort of thing. Yeah, it calms them down. And we use I use Yitga's Vitacanis cat calming spray.
Right.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I tell you what, it makes me die, because you'll have a cat come in and the owners will go, "Oh, I'd really just like to watch and see how you do it, because we struggle at home." So we use the cat calming spray, and I use my techniques, which cost me a lot of money because I spent a month in the States. And all they do is they go, "Oh my God, that spray's amazing. That spray's amazing. Oh, where can I get that spray?" And I'm like, my skill as well.
Yeah.
I'm grooming your cat, and they seem to think that a little puff of spray is what's caused all the amazing grooming. It's quite funny, really, because the girls are going, "Yeah, and Julie grooming it. Yeah, and Julie grooming it. That's what's doing it."
So you always do it on your own as well? Do you have helpers now, or do you always do it on your own? Or
I generally do it on my own. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do occasionally have a helper. I must admit, I think I've got a bit lazy because the girls are there.
Yeah.
I've got one of my girls that hates cats and looks in the diary and goes, "Oh, I got a cat." And she always says that she'd rather clean the bath with bleach naked than do a cat. So we go, "Go on, you're going to strip off and get up there and do the bath?"
Well, each to her own, I suppose.
Yeah, each to her own. She's not good with cats, bless her. But yeah, but she does. She will hold them if she has to.
And people out there that are listening and, maybe haven't really considered doing cats, or have done cat courses, what do you think price-wise? I mean, it's quite a specialist sort of topic, isn't it? Like you said, you went away and did a lot of training around it. So price-wise, it is very lucrative. Yeah.
We have a lot of cats now that come in really regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So we charge sort of our minimum charge is around about £35 for a cat, and they generally take me 10 minutes.
Yeah. Once you've got them on that schedule, they're
and then anything that's like just a new client is around 50. If they have a bath, it goes up to 75.
yeah.
But a cat, even if I've done a lion trim and I've shaved it and I've bathed it, it's done well within an hour. Within an hour. So it's a really good hourly rate.
Yeah. And Anthony's watching, or Tony, he's looking to come down your way. I think he's looking to move down towards the southeast. Do you do the accredited courses, or where can he learn to do the cat?
At the minute, we're not. We haven't got any courses running at all due to COVID and things like that. So it's just really keep an eye on my Facebook page and everything like that, and then anything that we're starting again. I've just I've turned my attention a little bit to the OCN at the minute.
Right.
So that's where the main attention's going. But yeah, if we get enough numbers for another cat course. We've only had tails for 3 years, and of course it takes a while to build a client base, especially with cats.
Yeah.
So I've got enough cats now that I can run a course, but for the first sort of 18 months, there wasn't enough cats. And you need a variety. You need the ones that are tricky, because it's great doing a course, of all nice classic cats, and then find that poor buggers, as soon as they get out there, they get a nasty one. They haven't got a clue. So you've got to have that cross section that you can feed through the course as they get more confident.
Yeah, of course. And you want the cats that are just a straightforward brush out, don't you? And then the cats with the mats, and then you want the line clips and stuff like that, so you can demonstrate all the sort of different bits.
And you need, and silly, it's a bit like dog grooming, is you need the skinny ones and you need the fat ones.
Yeah.
Because clipping off a skinny old cat is probably one of the most terrifying things I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I always say to the owner, look, I've got to shave your cat, the condition it's in. They're like, oh yes, no problem. I say, I could well nick the skin. I have no idea where your cat's nipples are. They don't, it's all right with us humans. They're normally all in the same place, but on a cat, they're like all over the show. So you can't kind of go, oh, I know there's one there, because you don't have a clue. So, the likelihood of catching a nipple, it does happen. It's not a regular thing, but I always warn an owner that, because their cat's in that state, I can't guarantee I'm not going to catch anything.
Yeah, and again, that just shows, doesn't it, that communication is key with your owners. So you've done your grooming, and you've got into your grooming, and then you've told us that you're really passionate about education, and obviously you've gone over to the States and done some courses with cats, but you run a grooming school, don't you? And offer...
It's not really. I run a grooming salon. And we've started up a school for the OCN.
Right.
The reason being was, when we started the Spotlight, there was an awful lot of groomers that have been grooming a long time and weren't qualified. Yeah. And I don't have an issue with that at all. I really don't. I mean, I groomed unqualified for 15 years. So we're unregulated. You can do what you like.
Yeah.
So we were there championing qualified groomers, encouraging people to get qualifications, to really pull up the industry's professional, opinion of us. And, there was no route for people that have been grooming for 20 years to get easily qualified. So I started a school along with quite a few of the other schools. They do what we term as the fast track now.
I've seen that, yeah.
So I don't teach anybody from zero. I did that. I've done that. I've got a t-shirt. I've got some lovely students, but I don't do that now. I tend to support the tutors that teach those people. So I get a lot of call from tutors going, I've got this student that's just not retaining knowledge, or she can get this bit, can't get that bit. How, can you give me any pointers? So I deal a lot with tutors and supporting tutors, but I don't teach from zero now. But what we do offer is the fast track, so that students or people that have been grooming a long time that really want to get that qualification, is I can support them in getting that qualification. So you know, that's what we do at the minute. And we've got I've got a satellite school down in Portsmouth, which is fabulous. They're absolutely brilliant down there. And we've got another one coming on board in Scotland that will be teaching from zero. So there will be the facility too, but it won't be me. It won't be me.
So how does an experienced groomer who possibly doesn't have their level 3 or their qualification behind them, how do they go about doing the fast track?
I actually saw one of the questions. I can't think who it was from. Who was it from?
I think it might have been Tony or Anthony Parker.
It was a guy, wasn't it? Yeah. So he was asking about the difference in all the qualifications, wasn't he?
Yeah, he wanted to understand the difference between OCN and City and Guilds. I'm just trying to find the
ICMG as well, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So the what you need is you need an off-qual regulated qualification. Yeah. So like me, I started out not doing heads, but I still left that training centre with a certificate, so which actually said diploma on it, you know, dog grooming diploma, and I had that and I thought I was qualified. Clearly I wasn't, and unfortunately there's an awful lot of places that do that type of qualification. They do an in-house certificate, which I don't want to say it's not worth the paper it's printed on, but what it's not had is it's not had the robust way of assessing it, which means that the governments, the education departments approve of, that they know is the correct way to deliver and to assess a qualification. So we've got very few. We've got the ICMG, which is an American qualification. We've got the City and Guilds, we've got the OCN, and we've now also got the IPET qualification. Yeah. So IPET, OCN and City and Guilds. So I've looked at all of those syllabuses and I've pulled them apart and I've cross-referenced them and everything. And in all fairness, they're pretty much the same. I see. If you picked up any of those syllabuses, you would find it hard to know which one you were looking at because they're all very much the same. So the assessment process of them is very different. So City and Guilds, you have to do I think it's like about 5 tasks, and then you do an exam, a written exam, which is sat twice a year. So it's quite formal qualification. It's probably our leading qualification. City and Guilds has been around for years, and you know, you could go to Italy and they would know City and Guilds. You could go to the States, they would accept City and Guilds. So it's accepted worldwide. The OCN is assessed differently in the fact that it's all assessed in-house. So your tutor assesses you. They verbally ask you questions throughout your course to assess your underpinning knowledge. And that's the way they kind of do the test paper. So it's a lot more informal, and a lot of people like that because they freak out at exams. Yeah. And I get that. I do get that. But I think what people need to understand is that nobody loves exams. You're not alone. I can't do exams. Everybody else out there can, but I can't. I literally threw up to every single exam I ever went to. Doing all my higher diploma, doing all my City and Guilds. I used to pull over into a lay-by, open the car door, puke in the gutter, close the car door and carry on driving. You know, literally, I used to do that for competitions as well. So nobody enjoys doing exams. So, you know, you do have to push yourself. And when you push yourself and you achieve, that is the biggest boost ever. Yeah. So don't think that you know, any pathway is easy. So the IPET is pretty much the same as the OCN, assessed in the same way. So those 3 qualifications are pretty much the same knowledge. And, you know, the assessment processes are just, one's more formal than the other. Yeah. One's called what they term as synoptic, which means it's all assessed at the end. So the IPET and the OCN is assessed throughout your course. So as you do a good bit, they go, oh, that's all right, I'll tick that bit off. Yeah, oh, you've done a lovely so-and-so, let's tick that bit off. With the City and Guilds, they do all your teaching and then they do all your assessments at the end. Right. So that's the way to do it. The ICMG is very different, and it's got totally different knowledge. Totally different knowledge. It's all very, very breed based. It's really interesting, but it is very, very different knowledge. And it's assessed by the ICMG team. And what's good about that is that every single thing that they assess is quality checked.
Right.
So a lot of the quality checking in the City and Guilds and the IPET and the OCN is what they term as sort of like selected. They take bits of it. So they take one unit here, one unit there, one unit somewhere else. It's called sampling.
So it's dip tested, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But with the ICMG, everything, 100%.
So with ICMG, would you say that was more for someone that was going into like a niche, like if they're going to niche into poodles, because you said it's more breed specific?
Not really, because I think to get the whole masters, you've got to do the toy group, the terrier group, the gun dog group. You've got to do all your groups. So I think it's a great qualification when you've got the others.
Yeah.
Get your others and then go, oh, what can I do now? Oh, I think I'll do the ICMG. But it is a standalone qualification, so you can just go straight to the ICMG.
Oh,
but it's good knowledge. It's good
Zero
knowledge.
to hero.
Sorry?
0 to hero.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're all very good. They are all good. So, I mean, it's just, and the other three can be fast tracked. So what you do with the fast track is you have a criteria of 15 dogs, about 32 different criteria. So things like eyebrows, clean face, spaniel ear, furnishings on ledge, clean ledge, cat foot, dog foot, skirts, a spaniel skirt, an underline. You have all this criteria, and all you have to do is, well, not all, but it sounds simple, is provide the evidence that says I can do that. So you build an amazing portfolio.
Yeah, I was just saying, like a portfolio, isn't it? And photographs, and then submit your portfolio, then you get assessed as well on a couple of dogs.
You get assessed on a couple of dogs and you do a first aid course.
Yeah.
So the way that we do it is we have the students build a portfolio, and then I've written workbooks for all the underpinning knowledge. So they take their workbook, they read their workbook, they answer the questions, which cross references to the syllabus, and then that's all done. So you can go as quickly or as slowly as you like.
Yeah. So someone like Tracy, a message from Tracy here saying, I did my level 3 City and Guilds written, but didn't actually get to do the practical as the assessor cancelled the day before, and then she left the company. Now, this was a few years ago. So she would have done her written stuff, but not her practicals. She's now been grooming for a total of 10 years. Would she need to do the whole thing again? Or what's the path to go? What's the best path to go down for the level 3? I would have sort of said
Okay, I would stick with what you're on. I wouldn't, if you've already done a theory paper
on City and Guilds, but that was
City and Guilds, yeah. If you've already done your theory paper, you've kind of got your knowledge, big tick in a box. So all you've got to do is your assessments. It's a little bit tricky, and it's a little bit complicated in the sense that a couple of years ago the qualification changed. So it used to be the 7763, and now it's the 7863.
All right.
So the 7763 no longer exists, right? But because of COVID, what they've gone and done is they've gone, we're going to extend it. So we've got two qualifications running parallel with each other. So now is a good time to go back and say, look, I'm halfway through. They've extended everything, and just get your head down and get it finished. You can probably go, if you've just got, I've been booked to do a couple of exams for City and Guilds to do a mop-up session. So we should have stopped examining back last August. They extended it till December with the first lockdown, and now they've extended it further to July.
So if Tracy did her written assessment a few years ago, say, would that still be valid, or would she have to?
Yeah.
Could she just go back to City and Guilds, like the awarding body, and go and find her course?
Yeah.
And then do the assessment.
All the City and Guilds need is your name and your date of birth. Ideally, if you've got your registration number, which is on a certificate somewhere, that's great. everything is in what they term as the walled garden. So whenever you have a result, it all gets put on there. So City and Guilds know exactly where you are, how much you've still got to compete. You will have to go to a centre to do the assessments. But you can just, get her to message me and I can tell you where the assessments are. But when you register for City and Guilds or the iPet or the OCN, you get a 3-year window.
Right.
So you have 3 years to complete the qualification. If this young lady is beyond the 3 years, what City and Guilds have started to do now because of COVID is extend. So she might just have to pay a small fee. I think it's around about 50 quid to extend. It does all depend on how much she's done. But I think, if you've gone through the hassle of sitting a theory paper and you've got it, I would just do your. And if how long has she been grooming? 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, the assessments, honestly, it will be a piece of piss.
It'll be a doddle.
It will be. She just got to literally groom a dog in an hour.
Yeah. So hopefully she'll either be able to rekindle her City and Guilds qualification, or she can get in touch with yourself for a bit more.
Yeah, we can find out. We can find out where she is and what she's already submitted. So
I'm just making sure we're answering all of Tony's questions that he submitted earlier, and he said. Surely, I suppose it really, you decide what qualification you want to do, whether it iPet, OCN, City and Guilds, and then I suppose you can just go and speak to the different schools and make sure you're a good fit with them, and make sure that you sort of gel with the instructor, because you're going to spend a bit of time with the teacher, aren't you?
That's it. I mean, on the Spotlight, we've got a training page, so all of our members that run schools are on the training page. And the good thing about that is that you can then look up the trainer's profile as well. So most trainers have got an expertise. You only have to look at Georgia Ashton Fuller. She's big on the Asian. Amy Mansell's obviously very big on the American Cockers and Gun Dogs. They've all kind of got their speciality. So go onto the page, pop in your postcode, find out which one's near you, go and look at the tutor's profile, and always do a taste today.
Yeah.
100% do a taste today. If a school doesn't require you to do a taste today, there's something wrong with them. Because trust me, as much as you need to gel with the tutor, they need to gel with you. Because, it's tough. It's not easy.
No, teaching is very difficult, isn't it? And the schools must see all sorts of people, all walks of life coming through their doors, and they have to sort of make sure they take care of everyone.
It is bizarre because I did training in London, in Chelsea, and I did it at a time when there was a hell of a lot of cabin crew that were out of work. So nearly every other student was cabin crew, which is great. But honestly, guys, they used to turn up immaculate.
all the makeup.
Absolutely done up. I used to have one student, bless her, that for all of her photographs, this is honestly hand on heart, for her photographs of her before and afters, she used to go downstairs and she used to change her wig. She changed her wig and she would come up with this beautiful wig on and have her pictures taken with their dogs. And then she used to change to this short wig to groom them all.
Wow.
I mean, how is that even? Why would you even do it? I mean, as soon as they arrive with a bit of mascara on, I'm going, well, you won't be wearing that tomorrow.
No, that's it. And
you won't be able, that won't be. And then also what we had also was quite a lot of ambulance crew. So I think that's quite a tough life. But I've taught a judge, I've taught bankers, I've taught people from all walks of life. I really have.
I think we're going to start finding a lot of public sector workers coming through into the industry. I know certainly I've seen a lot of comments on the group from teachers. I think obviously these are very stressful jobs, and they've sought alternative careers, and dog grooming has kind of given them that opportunity. So
Well, we've definitely seen an awful lot of a big influx to the spotlight. You know, we've had, I think one advert had 66 hits in 3 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is that 66 people in that area looking at that school because, you know, they're looking to change careers. Yeah. The trouble is a lot of these people have probably, you know, had redundancy or something like that. So they've got the money to plow into it, and they've got the money to make these beautiful looking salons. So we've got to get them qualified. They must be qualified. You know, it's all, you know, you can have all the bells and whistles in the land and make your salon look fabulous, but if you can't groom a dog,
yeah,
you know, and it's not all about the groom. You know, I stress that a lot is, you know, if you're newly qualified, you're not the best groomer in the world, but what your qualifications done is it's made you safe. You know how to groom a dog safely, and that's got to be, that's the most important thing with pet owners. We did a huge survey before we started the Spotlight, and it was 97% of pet owners said they would only ever go to a qualified groomer. And then the same question, how many of you know that your groomer's qualified? The same amount just assumed that their groomers were qualified. They had no idea that we could work without any qualification at all.
No, I didn't realise that it was an unlicensed industry.
No.
So a shameless plug for me there as well, because obviously they go out and they get qualified and they set up their nice businesses, but then maybe they don't understand the running of a business as well, and that's where hopefully my group and my services come in.
100%, because also the trouble is we have such a diverse industry. I mean, what other industry can you think of that you can work in a garden centre, in your back garden, in your conservatory, in your house, in a salon, in a van, go to somebody's home? Yeah. I mean, it's literally such a diverse, you know, you can work it around your kids, you can, you know, you can basically do it however you like. Yeah. So yeah, and unfortunately the syllabus that we've got with the OCN, the IPET and the City and Guilds doesn't prepare you for running your own business, which in all fairness a level 3 qualification should, because level 3 means that you can work unsupervised. So level 2 qualification means that you must always be supervised. So in any other industry, whether you be an electrician, a plumber, any other industry that's got legislation linked to it, you cannot have a level 2 qualification and be unsupervised. And yet we've got level 2 students that are there. I get they're competent, but unfortunately, you know, they're out there and they're, you know, we need to literally push them to get their level 3, because level 3 means that you can work unsupervised and you can teach somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's across the board. That's in floristry, anything. It's not just, you know, I'm not making it up. It's whatever qualification you do in whatever industry. So,
Jacqueline just said I still work in the ambulance service, and that gave me an idea. An ambulance might make for a good dog grooming van.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Isn't it? It's got electric and it's got, you know, you could make quite a good dog groomers out on that.
There's in America. There's I've got a friend that's got a dog grooming van in Saudi. He's in Saudi Arabia and he does really well. But I've got other friends in America, and I mean they make an absolute killing. You know, mobile. If you're a good mobile groomer and you look at your clientele, what he does is he has a membership. So you can't be a client of his unless you become a member of his salon. So people pay a yearly fee of, I think it's $150.
Just to be on his
books. Be on his books.
Wow. I've discussed this with American groomers. We've got some American groomers in my group, and I've discussed this with them, and like how their industry is sort of seen within their society. And they said that it's very much part of the household bills, like, you know, mortgage, electric, dog groomer, pet food, you know, it's all part of everyday living, and you're kind of up there. Whereas maybe in this country we're not seen as in such a high up on the list sometimes.
I don't know. I think we're getting there, because I think dog ownership has changed. Years ago, when I was a kid, we had a dog, and my parents used to work full time, and they used to go out to work, and we used to leave the dog for 10 hours a day, and nobody said anything. It just what you did.
Yeah.
And then we kind of had this revolution of dog can't be left, that the training schools started to come up, and dog ownership changed. And in all honesty, a lot of dog ownership, it dipped, because people that would previously have owned a dog didn't own a dog because they went out to work all day.
Yeah.
Then we've seen over in the last sort of 15 years this amazing industry that's come up with dog walkers and dog boarding, day boarding. So we've created a whole infrastructure so that people can own dogs. And also, nowadays people pay somebody to wash their car. They pay somebody to even pick their shopping for them. They pay somebody to do their ironing. They pay somebody to come in and do their cleaning. So I always say, whenever I give any talks or anything, I'm the person that grooms their dog. So I never moan about an owner. I had an owner in today that's got a powder puff, and she comes in every 8 weeks, and he came in knotty again today. And I said to her, this isn't working for him, for me, for you. I said, so 8 weeks is too long. I said, so what we're going to do is we're going to have in 4 weeks, you're going to come in for just a bath and a groom through, and then 4 weeks you'll have a trim. And she said, oh, can I do that? And I went, absolutely you can. Told her what the price was, and she said, oh great, that's amazing. I said, and if you do that, you haven't even got to worry about brushing him. That's my job. I'll groom him. I'm your groomer. Let me groom your dog. But what you've got to do is bring him in regular enough. So we have an awful lot of dogs that come in really regularly because we're the dog groomer, and we groom their dog. I don't expect them to groom their dog. If they're going to come in regularly, that's my job.
And you've just highlighted again that conversation that you have to have with the owners, and explaining and educating them. So we've introduced like a direct debit system, because I kind of think you pay for your household insurance on direct debit, you pay for all your important services to do with your house by direct debit. So why not pay for your dog grooming on direct debit?
Yeah.
And it brings it up that list, doesn't it, of important things.
Yeah.
And the dog comes in, we have a really nice conversation about the dog and do the dog. And there's no money conversation needed because it's being paid for every month.
Yeah.
So it's really
you're always going to get your clientele that, the week before Christmas phone up and want their German Shepherd de-shedded that's not been done for a year. That's fine. I have what I term as my happy price. So I have, I don't ever want to look in my diary and have my heart sink and go, oh God, I don't want to see that dog. And there are a few that we do. And it's funny, we do, I've got a really funny story about Stuart. We do a Russian terrier, black Russian terrier called Bess. She's absolutely lovely, but she's a real nightmare. She's always been sedated. We don't bath her, the owners bath her. We just shave her off with a 7F. But she's wicked. And she literally throws the clippers out your hands, and your palpitations, you take your life in your hands when you do her. And Stuart did it the time before last, and he's clipping her off, and he's going, it's ridiculous, how much do we charge for this? This is ridiculous, I'm not doing this. And we're not doing this dog again, Then the owner comes back, and Stuart goes, hiya.
Yeah.
Fine. And then he's like, how much do we charge for this dog? I said, well, it takes us about 45 minutes. I said, and we charge £75. And he's going, that's ridiculous. No, it needs to be double that at least. And then he comes in, he goes, hiya, how much is it? Oh, it's £75.
He lost his bottle.
It's not so much that. It's like you, as a groomer, you need that vent, don't you? I mean, the times when I'm doing a dog and I in my head, I've planted a pair of scissors in the middle of its forehead. You know what I mean? And you need that. You need to have that little bit of release to kind of go and breathe. Right. Okay, that's fine. Anybody that says that, they don't want to sort of, I don't know, choke hold it until it passes out, quickly trim it and then bring it back to life again is lying. Do you know what I mean? Like blow it back up again, that's fine.
It's like any job,
there are a few.
you're going to get stressed. It's like any job, and you're going to have
100%.
put in place things to deal with stress and like getting frustrated, and maybe that's where you take the dog and put it back in its bed for a bit.
That's time out. We do time out all the time, and I have no problem with saying to Nona, look, I'm giving him a break, I'm giving me a break, he's going to be, you know, an extra half an hour or something, or I'm going to finish him when I've done this other dog. Because when you've got backing up as well, that causes you stress, because you're like, now I've got to rush that one because I can't get this one done. And sometimes it's silly things, like you realize that you've been trying to do the dog facing it the wrong way. So this poor dog is constantly trying to look where its owner's been, and you're like, no, I want you to look at me. And then you realize, actually, if I just turned it around and let it,
or laid it down for its nails or something.
Yeah, just, you know, or I mean, as I say, we wrap in towels. I mean, I've been known to put a towel in the tumble dryer, get it warm, wrap the dog up, you know, when they're little frail little old ones. You know what I mean? They just need that extra bit, you know. And a cuddle goes a long way.
Yeah.
You literally cuddle them, and we've all done this. You just cuddle them until you feel them do that big sigh. Have you ever done that? And they go, you go, right, now, okay, so now you're in your happy place now, so it's fine, we can continue. But all the time they're tense, you can't, bless them.
And it relieves a bit of stress for you as well, doesn't it?
I like the calming sprays as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's all.
We walk around going, I love my job, I love my job. When the dog's pooed on the floor for about the 15th time, you're like, I love my job, I love my job.
So we've mentioned it quite a lot, the spotlight, as you call it, but maybe I've got people in the group that are new to grooming, or they're in training, or maybe there's people on there that in the group that have never heard of the Groomers Spotlight. Maybe you can explain to us what it is, and if you've got time, the reasons why you set it up and what's behind it.
Okay, so I'll do a potted version. Right, so I'm very much into education, and I've worked with sitting guilds, and I've worked for sitting guilds for quite a few years. And what happens with a qualification is, if you don't have the numbers, so if people don't take the qualification, a qualification provider goes, not much point having this, we'll get rid of it. So it's an awful lot of admin and that sort of thing. And with dog grooming, we were in a position where people weren't taking the qualification. Now, prior to my generation, there's a lovely generation of groomers, the Diana Norths, you know, the Peter Youngs, the Anita Backs, that fought incredibly hard to get us a qualification. And having a qualification for an industry makes it professional. I don't get how you can call yourself a professional person unless you are qualified in that industry, in that, you know, that job that you do. So the thought of losing it was just unthinkable. We can't lose the qualification. We can't.
Right. And has it been close to that? There's been reviews on it, have there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were getting close to the fact that, and then you would read on Facebook, people have been going, what's the point? It's only a bit of paper. You know, there's no point getting qualified. It doesn't mean anything. Customers never ask me. All absolutely valid points. So Stuart and I sat down one day and went, you know, I was like, we can't lose qualification. We need to make qualifications valuable. We can't, you know, we can't legalize the industry. We can't, you know, we can't make legislation. But what we can do is make the qualification have value to people. So the Spotlight was born. So the Spotlight is a website where you find a qualified groomer, and we spend, each individual groomer has a lovely profile where they show off their grooming, they show off their achievements, and we literally champion qualified groomers. So we either champion the ones that are qualified, or we do an awful lot of work towards getting those that want to be qualified. It's not a bash against unqualified groomers. I groomed unqualified, as I said. It's about encouraging people to become qualified, to see the value of a qualification. And 1,000,000%, they absolutely protect you. It's not just a piece of paper. A good few years ago, I was sued, and the guy came in, and he was looking at all my certificates up on the wall, and I was trying to tell him what was going on, and he was like, "Oh, you've got that, have you? And you've got this?" And I was going, "Yeah, I've got all that. Great." And he was writing it all down and goes, "This is great. In fact, you're qualified." And I was like,
That's
"But
good.
what's why are you saying this?" And he said that a qualification shows that you know what you're doing, so they cannot argue. They can't argue. It's proof that you know what you're doing. So if you think about it, if you cut a dog, or heaven forbid something worse even happened, and you went to a solicitor and you went, "I'm an unqualified groomer, I've got this case against me, will you support me?" Or, "I'm a qualified groomer, will you support me?" An unqualified groomer hasn't really got a leg to stand on. The qualifications add huge value to that person and to the industry as a whole. So that's exactly what we do. We're trying to promote professionalism. We're trying to show the value of qualifications, because they are incredibly valuable. If you had two dentists and you went, "Oh, this one's not qualified, but this one is. Which one do you want to go to?" I mean, I know which one I'd go to. And I think even if they said that one's not qualified, but he's been doing dentistry for 10 years, this one's only been doing dentistry for 2 years, but he's qualified, I would still go qualified, because I would think they're bang up to date. They know what they're thinking of. And I'd be like, well, why hasn't he got himself a qualification? Is he not good enough to be qualified? So I think it's so important. I'll never stop championing qualifications, never.
Do you think we'll get to the point where the industry is going to be licensed? How does that get driven forward? Does it come to insurance companies that say, "We'll only give you insurance if you're qualified"?
We've tried it.
Yeah.
We tried it. The insurance companies won't play ball at all, because then they're not going to turn away custom.
No.
They won't. We've tried. No.
Yeah.
No, they won't even give preferential rates to a qualified groomer. They won't even give different cover to a qualified groomer, because we're an unregulated industry. They will follow whatever is the regulation. Personally, what we've got to do first is we've got to regulate the training schools, because there are training schools out there that are not doing their jobs properly. And it's not the groomer's fault. A groomer pays their money, they sign up for their course in all good faith, because they think what they're getting is good training, and they're not getting good training. It's not across the board, but there are schools out there that could be a lot better than they were. So I think we need to, if we get those regulated and the standard of training brought up, then the people that are going out there are just going to be just so much more capable. I get so many messages from groomers going, "I've done a 35-day course and I'm not confident."
Yeah,
that's so sad. That shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case. You should leave your leave your training school with a pair of scissors in your hand, knowing what you're doing, and knowing that your tutor has supported you to be the best that you can be. We're all going to be at different levels, and customers are going to want different levels of grooming. I couldn't turn out a continental poodle. I wouldn't have a clue. And there's no point me going on a course to be able to do a continental poodle, because I'm never going to get a customer that's going to want one. There's no point. No, it's just, and people say all I do is shave offs. Then be bloody good at shave offs, because trust me, they're quite hard as well, getting them neat and tidy. Nothing wrong with being just a shave off person, but you can still be qualified.
Yeah. So do you think regulation will come, or is it a long way?
I'd like to think that we can get the schools regulated, and then let's just take it in small steps. There's always whispers. They've just done a lot of work with the home boarding. I have no idea why home boarding got done before grooming. No idea at all. Perhaps it's just easier. Don't know. We've had several goes at quality control of star ratings. There's been a few things that have fallen by the wayside because it's not enforced by anybody. again, why would you pay £500 to get a 4-star rating if it doesn't stand for anything?
No, that's it. And I'm worried that if it does go down the regulated route, they're just going to give it to the councils to enforce, and the councils don't have.
And they haven't got enough resources. They
No.
haven't got enough time to do it.
No, that's it. So again, it becomes a toothless tiger, doesn't it? And
I think there's a lot of things out there. I remember years ago when I was doing my teaching, they sent EQA, so an external quality assurer, to see my work, to see how I was teaching. And I can remember, planning my lesson, getting it all ready, being really excited as to who this EQA was going to be, thinking, oh my God, who are they going to send? This is going to be so exciting. I can get such feedback from them. And this person came and I thought, I don't recognise him, I don't know who this is. Went through all the EQA process, got my feedback at the end, and he was a nice chap and everything. And I said, well, what do you wear? Where's your salon? And he was like, salon? He was like, so I haven't got a salon. I was like, oh, okay. And he was a piano tuner.
No sort of credibility.
None. But he knew that he knew the structure of a lesson. He knew how I should work through all my students. Did I teach each student individually? Did I, give them work to do? Did I challenge some students? Did I do this? So he knew all about the teaching process, but actually nothing at all about dog grooming.
No, which is just as important, isn't it?
Oh, well, I think so. I think for, a bit of inspiration. I mean, piano tuner, for God's sake. Most probably the same person that gave me. I had to teach a blind student as well once.
What, dog grooming? Interesting.
The college were like, oh, it's diversity. I look, but they're blind.
How did it turn out?
It was fun. It was level 2. Thank God, no clippers and scissors. But yeah, the funny thing was, she was a lovely girl, but she used to be hosing a dog, and the water used to be shooting out and hitting another student. She would be nowhere near the dog.
How strange.
But no, so crazy.
Emma, my wife, asked a couple of questions about the Groomers Spotlight. If you've got, are you okay for time? I'll run through some questions, then we'll be done. I know you've had a busy day.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So, what value does joining the Groomers Spotlight do to a member? What does the Groomers Spotlight offer to the member, and what kind of value does it add to your business by joining?
So it adds great value to your business, the fact that you're on the spotlight. If you're qualified and you're on the spotlight, then that's kind of a gold seal, as it is, because we have to verify all your certificates. So we don't just allow anybody on as such. We do make sure that the qualification you've got is valid, and that you are current and up to date with everything. So it's almost like a gold standard anyway. We do work closely with a lot of companies to sell them the virtues of qualifications and groomers. So the fact that they get to a qualified groomer, they've got somebody that knows what they're doing, and we've got great member offers. So we do strive. So groomers give us wholesale prices. I mean, it's £90 a year for membership, and I did a groomers order the other week, and I saved, I think, £116. So I've already got my Spotlight membership back in one order.
Yeah.
So it's if you're qualified, it's kind of like, why wouldn't you be a member? It saves you an awful lot of money. We've got lots and lots of offers. AdFab do offers, Wild Wash do offers, Viticanis do offers. I'm trying to think of them all. We've got them all on the website. So yeah, they're all there. So huge member benefits. And also people have used the website for lots of things. Nearly all bar one of the Pooch Perfect contestants were members. So it's used for headhunting a lot. It's literally, it's somewhere where you can shout about your qualifications. And all our members are really proud to be on it. You get a window sticker. We spend an awful lot of time, effort, dare I say, and money on SEO. So that when people put in dog grooming near me, You know, we want them to be qualified. We work closely with vets, because vets generally don't like to recommend a groomer because they don't know what they're like. And the fact that they can, you know, clearly hand on heart say that these people are qualified, then they're happy to sort of send people to the Spotlight.
So if you're a member, you work hard to push that Groomer Spotlight out to potential customers so that they can find you as well.
Yeah. So it's just, and it's a really good community to be part of. You know, a lot of the Spotlight members, you know, work with each other, know each other, help each other, you know, and we've got a really good Facebook group where people can put questions and not be kind of like, you know, it's a lovely, I've never seen a crossword on the Facebook group. Everybody's kind of really pro each other. And if we do get, I mean, in the initial year of starting the Spotlight, Stuart and myself had, you know, we had some quite nasty messages and things, because people didn't get it. They thought we were against unqualified groomers, and that's not the case at all, not at all. We just want to make sure that there's an industry there in 20 years for the rest of you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realise that places like City and Guild look at their uptake of their qualifications, and if they're not being taken up, then they just look at sort of putting them away in the filing cabinet, sort of thing. I didn't realise that. So that's how important.
Because it's all to do with what happens. It's quite a complicated process, but if colleges will take on a qualification like OCN, IPET, and City and Guilds, providing that they can get funding for it. So it's always funded by the government. The private training schools, it's not a problem because people pay their £6,000. But for a college to take on a qualification, it has to be one that acquires funding. Otherwise, they won't do it. It's not worth it. So what happens is qualifications with certain amount of hours connected to them acquire funding. So years ago, we had the one diploma, which was 340 hours. And the government were like, oh, 340 hours, that's a professional qualification. We'll give you the money for that. That's fine. Then what was happening is the jump from level 2 to level 3 was so vast that people were doing their level 2 and they weren't going on to their level 3. They were going out, they were going, oh God, I'll never get to that. I'll never get to it. And that's when the numbers started to drop.
Right, I see.
Because people were doing their level 2, they weren't bothering to do a level 3. So City and Guilds looked at it and went, there's no point having it because nobody's taking it. So then what happened was the industry reacted and we split the qualification. So it went to, some people have just got the introductory.
Yeah.
So there's the introductory and the diploma, which is the same qualification but split in two. So they then did the introductory, but they still didn't go on to finish off the diploma. So we've got thousands of groomers out there with half a qualification. And because they split it, each qualification was then reduced in hours. So rather than being 340 for the whole thing, it was 160. And the government went, we're not giving you funding for that.
Yeah. It drives you
mad. Then
mad.
we had to change it again and put the whole thing back together again. Yeah. It's just been a nightmare just trying to keep it. It really has.
It drives you mad when you're having to coming up against the government.
Well, you're reinventing the wheel. I mean, at the end of the day, what do we want to do? We want to actually learn how to groom a dog. That's what we want to do. And we want to get a bit of paper that says you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you want. You want a piece of paper, you know, a qualification that says you are competent to do this job. And it sounds so simple, but when you're up against governments and you know, they're looking for loopholes in not giving people money and saving money, and you've got dog groomers. But in the year that we came back together, the qualification came back together, numbers went from 60. The paper that we'd marked previously, there was only 60 people sat at it, and City and Guilds were like, no point. And then the following, when we reviewed it and we gave the new qualification, we went up to over 400.
Wow,
it shows it worked.
Yeah, and I think now the message is starting to go through. There's a lot of grooming schools out there that are offering the OCN and the IPET and the City and Guilds. So, and
they're good qualifications. There's nothing wrong. People kind of like, oh, they're rubbish. They're not rubbish. you know, they might be rubbish if it's been taught by a rubbish tutor. So that's what we need to sort out. But the qualifications themselves, if you look at the qualification handbooks, which anybody can look at, you know, the syllabus is bloody good.
Yeah, they're all online, aren't they? So you can go.
And then you read through it and you go, oh my God, I'm going to learn that, and I'm going to learn that, and I'm going to learn that. Oh God, I don't even know what that is, and I'm going to learn it. You know, and then you're like, this is amazing. You know, and then perhaps you get to and the trouble with colleges is they pick tutors that it's not the tutor's fault. You know, they pick a tutor and go, oh, you can go and teach dog grooming, and the tutors are not, you know, they're not robust enough, they're not good enough to sort of teach it.
And generally you probably have to deal with larger classes as well, because again, to make it viable for the colleges, they need to get larger.
When I was teaching in college, which I loved, I taught at Hadlow. I taught 1 to 10. I had 10 students. It was, I had a help. I had a technical instructor, so they would oversee technical bits, but yeah, I had 10 students, which is in some ways is good, because I think it gives you more independent students. So you would literally, I would work up the room, stop, work back down the room, stop, work up the room, work back down the room. So I'd literally just go to every single student in turn, and you'd give them a task, you'd show them a task, you'd let them get onto it, then you do the same, then you'd get back to them and you would see how they'd done and give them feedback and put them onto the next task. So, but if you've only got, say, 2 students, or you work 1-to-1, and you've got a tutor that's there the whole time going, oh, that bit of hair there, cut that bit of hair, and then this bit and that bit and this bit, and oh, don't forget that bit, and standing there watching you, it doesn't make an independent student. It makes somebody going, how the hell am I going to cope without you here?
Yeah.
And when you're not here, I won't know which bit of hair to cut. But in actually, you know, teaching in the way that I did, you know, my students were like, oh, I've done a round foot that Julie said was really good. Is that all right if I show Claire? And I go, yeah, your round foot's lovely. Why don't you, you know, go and show Claire how to do it? And that reinforces that peer assessment. You know, so people are like, oh my God, I could do a round foot. That's amazing. Rather than, oh, I've never done one of them before. And you're like, well, you did 10 last week. But it's tough.
In contact with Hadlow and places like that, or
I do quite a few of the Sitting Girls exams at the colleges. I've got a tutor group, which I've got quite a few tutors that I still talk quite a lot with, you know, with ideas. And it's like, really, there's certain topics that are really hard to teach. Students don't pick up ratios very easily, you know, things like that, shampoo ratios. So we, you know, I've recently just done a lesson on that, just to try and help them, just to, because it's, you know, you've got that side of your brain working, or it's the other side that just doesn't take that in. So I do like working with the tutors, because they want to be the best that they can be for their students.
Yeah, and they're going to bring the industry up, aren't they?
Yeah. That's where my sort of like my concentration is now. Because I think if I can help one tutor, I'm probably helping 10 students.
Yeah.
Don't understand what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
whereas, you know, 10 individual students I haven't got time for, but I've got time for one tutor.
Yeah, and then maybe one of those students will become a tutor in years to come, and then they can help, can't they? So
100%. And you know, it's like anything, isn't it? You're only ever as good as the person that teaches you.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we can all name that one teacher at school that inspired us, can't we?
Not always, but yeah.
Well, most can. But you know what I mean? There's always a lesson that you liked, and there was a reason you liked that lesson. I mean, groomers, because probably we don't like people very much, and also, I mean, I suffer quite badly with focus, so I have to be really strict with myself, you know, especially if I'm writing and stuff like that, because I oh my God, I'm the queen of diversion. I mean, I can clean the house, sort the fridge out, you know, groom a dog, sort out a drawer, go for a walk, all before I sit down and do what I'm meant to do that day.
Yeah, you're just more practical minded rather than sit down and write. And
I find that working with my hands takes away anxiety. If I'm sitting at my desk and I've got something, I'll check 10 emails and that thing will still be sitting there that I've got to do, because it's kind of, and when I write anything, I really want it to kind of tick all the boxes. I work really closely with Jo Hargreaves, and she's like, Julie, it's great. And I'm saying, no, we're not putting it out. I'm not happy with it. And she's like,
so we go through some of these some questions. Again, can you do dogs' heads now?
Yes, I can. Yes, you'll be pleased to know.
How many years did you go? Was it a year, or did you pick it up quite quickly? Or
I think I picked it up quite quickly. I think I started out really slowly. I was in a kennel, so you do just tend to pick it up, don't you? But yeah, no. And then extra training. I mean, when I started, there was literally 2 competitions a year, and there was designer dog road shows. So there was just no education out there. And when you think about it, it was before it was before Facebook, before Google, before anything like that. I mean, you literally went to the library and got a book out.
Yeah, and all your advertising would be in newspapers and yellow pages.
Leaflets, handing out leaflets. It was all very, very different, very different.
How long did it take you to become qualified in teaching?
Qualified in teaching, it was, I worked in the college for 3 years, and the first year I was there, I did my teaching qualification. So it took me a year, but that was the full qualification. And I know that you can get a teaching qualification a lot quicker now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That said, it's horrendous. It was like, I would rather have my armpits infested by 1,000 fleas than do that again. It was awful. I hated doing it.
But it had to be done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And also, the funny thing is, it's one of those qualifications that when you're doing it, you're like, what is the point of this? What is the point of it? Why do I need to know the interpol connection, blah, blah, of Ladlow's hierarchy of whatever? And you're like, why do I need to know that? And yet, your brain set, when you've got a student in front of you that's struggling, immediately goes to, once she's got problems at home, does anybody know about her kids? What's this happening? What's that happening? Where are we in her hierarchy? Yeah. How can we support that so that she can learn? And it's amazing how you kind of, I mean, I've had a team of tutors that have come in and gone, oh, so and so's not on her game today, and I go, well, what are you going to do about it? That's your job. You're the tutor. If that person's not getting it today, that's not their fault.
You've got to change that.
Challenge for the day. Yeah, you tell me how you're going to solve that. And they go, oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, start looking at learning styles and how
and when you're a tutor, it's a huge, massive responsibility. Massive.
I think again, Tony, a bit of reassurance for Tony. It was back when we were talking about, being surrounded by groomers. He's like, surely, as long as there's demand in the area and you do a good job, you'll get customers. And I think,
a lot of it is customer service as well. These people are leaving their dogs with you, so they have to like you.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, or there's something, that you're not gelling with your owners, then that's the reason they'll go elsewhere. If they like you, they will pay. We put up all of our prices by £5 over COVID, and I've had one customer that's gone, you're having a laugh, aren't you? One customer who's an old boy, and he's a bit of a stickler anyway, but that's all we've had is one customer. Everybody else totally understand. No, you've been amazing.
That's it. It's that know, like, and trust, isn't it? And building up that. And then I go on about having clients rather than customers, and clients will stay with you and they'll champion you and want to work with you, whereas customers perhaps sometimes go elsewhere and are price driven. But
it is all about education. It's like building that relationship. It's like knowing what you're talking about. Like, I'm trying to think of an instance where I had a Labrador puppy in today, and they were talking about shedding, and I was trying to explain to them about, the clocks are changing, So the dogs are being exposed to more daylight, which will make them shed more, and they were like, oh, I didn't know that at all. And I said, well, you've got a yellow lab, unfortunately. They are, a black lab would have been better because the hair structure is slightly different. It's held deeper in the follicle. I said, but the yellow labs, they shed the most. They're our heaviest shedding breed that we've got in the UK, apart from a pug, which are also, the buff pugs shed more than the black pugs because of the colour. And they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. I wish I'd have spoken to you before I bought the dog.
I was going to say, the breeder didn't tell us that.
I know. And it's like the cockapoos. It's like, a black cockapoo doesn't mat, whereas the Goldens, the hair damages more easily. There's not the structure in the hair. It doesn't hold the keratin. It's, there's so much that we know and we want to know, So, and that immediately hooks your owner into going, well, she's the one for me.
Yeah, you just, being a bit of a leader and educating them and showing that you know what you're doing and what you're talking about. And, like you said, it hooks them in, and then they become clients and your biggest fans, and they'll tell the world.
We had a Bouvier. It was in the diary as a Bouvier de Flanders, and I was like, we blocked out a good couple of hours for it, and this dog came in, and I was like,
WTF?
Yeah, what? And I was like, it's really strange. That's not a Bouvier de Flanders. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, and it had a little short stubby tail, and I said to her, oh, how old is it? Thinking, it's got to be at least 14 if it's been dogged. And she's going, oh, we don't have tails. And I was like, I know.
Well, you're looking at an Airedale.
Well, no, what I was looking at was strangely, and it was even a surprise to me, I looked at her sheet she filled out, and I went, oh, and it was a Bouvier de Ardennes.
Right.
It wasn't a Flanders, it was an Ardennes, and I've never met a breed. I've never met them before. Seen pictures, but I've never met them. And I was like, that's why it doesn't look like a Bouvier de Flanders. It's because it's not one. And the Ardennes is a bit like a Picardy. So, or a Lacamois, something like that. So totally different. I was like, what the hell's this? It's nothing like I was expecting. Even then, I Googled it, and she was pleased I Googled it. And she was like, oh my gosh, I know of them, but I've never seen one. She said, oh no, they're lovely. I said, I'm so sorry, because I was giving her 20 questions going, you're stupid because you don't know what dog you got. But actually she was going, I'm the one that's stupid because I don't know what it is.
Good job you met in the middle.
Yeah, it was fine.
Almost done. Jacqueline was she's saying, how do you keep your appointments on time? And this was when we were talking about having the dog, putting the dog away for a little break and stuff like that. How do you keep your appointments on time? She's a lone groomer, so feels that pressure, that time pressure that someone's, I've got 2 hours or 3 hours to do this dog and it's not going quite right. Surely that comes down to that conversation again, isn't it? And linking in with your customer and saying, I need a little bit more time to do this nicely.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, with an individual client, that should only ever happen once. And then you keep good client records so that to put more time with that dog and charge appropriately. So, I mean, we have it with our diary. I'll look over, one of the girls we've put the dog on a system, and she'll block out 2 hours, and I'll look over and I'll say, I need an hour and a half for that one. And she'll go, oh, really? I said, yeah, I can get that done in an hour and a half. Or, she'll look at the notes and she'll go, oh, this one's this one. And he doesn't like his head being done. I'll go, right, okay, so give me a 2 hour block for that one. So, you have the first instance where you find out about the dog, and a lot of the dogs you can work with and you can reduce that time. But also a lot of it is planning your time. If you're finding that you're not quick enough, is find out what's taking you time. So I teach a lot about speeding up with your grooming, and a lot of groomers go, I'm not very quick. And I go, right, okay. So I give them a sheet of paper with 1 to 120 on it in 10-minute increments. And what they have to do is they have to put on it every 10 minutes what they've done. Yeah. And it might be that actually they've taken ages in the bath, and actually everything else is fine. And if all we need to do is reduce that bathing time. So let's look at your bathing. You're worried about your trimming. Actually, I couldn't trim it any quicker than that. It's your bathing that's taking your time. So the trick always with trying to speed up is to first find out what's taking you the time.
So that's really helpful. That's like a time and motion study, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like taking that dog from all the way through and finding out where you're lacking, or where you can shave time off. And
we used to do that a lot at college, where a student might might struggle, take all her time on tails, or all her time on front legs or back legs or feet. And what I used to do occasionally is go, right, Janet's going to do all the feet today. So all your front feet, Janet's doing. So we've got 10 dogs here. She's doing 10 lots of front feet. Sue, crap on tails. She's doing all your tails. And therefore you'd split the dogs up. And then by the end of that day, Sue had done 10 tails. Oh, she was soon better at them.
Yeah.
Dogs have only got one tail. So every time you groom a dog, you only get to practice it once. Yeah. You only get one head. So those are the things that generally, 4 legs, you get 4 legs to practice on every time you groom a dog, but you only ever get one head.
Yeah.
And one tail, and two ears and that sort of thing. So those things do take more time to acquire. So find out first what's taking you time.
I'm definitely
and it might be you might be quite surprised when you look at your sheet and go, God almighty, I've just taken 20 minutes on one back leg.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take that forward, and my wife's watching it as well, so we'll definitely sort of look at that. When we do have a slower person in the shop and you're like, oh, what's going on, we can start looking at like that time emotion study, saying, well, where are we losing that time? Is it because they're not just concentrating when they're doing the drying, or the bath's taking a bit too long to do? So, and
sometimes it can be down to your water, whether it's hard or soft, and the shampoo you're using. I'm always wary when we get, what shampoo do people use, what they find good, and one person say, I think that's amazing, another person say, I think that's crap. And there's nothing wrong with the product.
No.
It's just your water. Everything's got a pH, and unfortunately you add H2O to it and that goes out the window. So we shouldn't really worry too much about the pH of our shampoos, as long as they're in the range. Let's start testing our water. Because, putting a water filter in, which is a couple of £100, could in fact save you ridiculous amounts of time and also money on shampoo, because you're using half the amount of shampoo. It's rinsing out quicker. And you've literally just looked at that little bit. That's why I always think poor mobile groomers that I know they've got their tank on board, but some of them are using all this different water from all these different areas that, that gets tricky.
Yeah, that's why we came to this house and we plumbed our dishwasher in, and you have to tell the dishwasher what kind of water you have. So, again, another really top tip. I'd never really thought how hard.
Litmus paper's great. I always carry litmus paper with me because I find it's quite engaging whenever I go to a salon, and it's cheap as anything. You can get it off of eBay. I think I've got some in the drawer, and you can literally test your water. You can test your water with a bit of shampoo in it. You can test your shampoos. You can even spray any product onto it to go, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that was near an acid mantle or near an alkaline mantle. And it's just interesting. It just gives you a bit of a, oh my God,
these
jobs aren't enough that if you're not engaged with it, bloody hell, But I quite often, I've just developed a new soap that's not on the market yet, but it's for spotting. So like when you get them horrible manky feet and ears and that sort of stuff, and we developed it, and I literally was over the moon when I had the final thing come, and I took it upstairs and I said to my business partner Joe, I'm taking the litmus paper up. I said, and oh my God, it just, all the work we've put in, it better be neutral. It just better be neutral. And it was, I was like, oh my God, I'm just so flipping thrilled with this. It does what I want it to do, and it's where I need it to be.
Yeah, that's good. Brilliant. My wife would probably say to me, I know all that, but I didn't know that myself.
And the trouble is you do know it. You know it because you've probably done it. I don't know. It's like you're saying, like your dishwasher. It's just putting it into context.
It's just and applying it to what you do. Yeah. So, talking about sprays, Emma would like to know where you get your calming sprays from and what they're called and how you use them.
Okay, so the only calming spray I did used to use Pet Remedy. The reason I changed is because I know Yitka really well, and so I now use the Vita Canis range. There's nothing wrong with Pet Remedy, but I do use the Vita Canis. So she does a calm cat, and she does a floral calming spray, which you can just use all over the place. It's really good. use it on dogs, use it on humans. If you've got a groomer that's, you know,
kids.
We kind of do it as a joke sometimes with the groomers. We go. I remember watching or only last summer, a program on grooming, an American program, and this groomer kept going, "Are we going to have a magical day? Isn't it a magical day?" So we have this thing in the morning when we look at the diary and we all go, "Oh, magical day," and we spray a bit of this spray, and it's all just a bit of a joke, but yeah, it creates a magical day.
Positive mental attitude, I think that's
absolutely, that's exactly what it does.
Georgina is looking forward to using your new product. So when's that going to be?
Oh, good. Well, we just silly things like what I want to do is I want to have it in a tin. So because soap goes a bit gunky, so at the minute we're trialing the tins. So I've got 3 different tins in the bathing area because I don't want the tins to rust. I can't think of anything worse than buying a product and the tin rusting. So yeah, at the minute I'm just looking at samples, and Joe's looking at different kind of paper to wrap it in. I'm like, for God's sake. But yeah, so we're almost there. We're almost there. So
I know
a couple of months.
I know someone that does eco food wraps, so maybe we could put you in touch. Yeah.
It's only because I just want it wrapped in a bit of sort of, I was saying to Joe, just have a bit of brown paper inside, keep it as, because what we want to do is the soap is totally non-plastic. There's no plastic at all. So, you know, that's good for the environment and everything. And it'll be great to sell your owners. So you can sell it onto your owners for, you know, dirty feet and dirty bums and things like that. So you don't want to shampoo a whole dog in it, but it's for where you get those greasy bits, muzzles as well. So anybody that's into Asian fusion, when you have to get their muzzles squeaky clean, this is the ideal product for that.
Yeah. Georgina said beeswax wrap as well, maybe.
I thought about that. I've left that to Joe because she can do all that fiddly stuff. I just do the product development and all the testing and everything. And we just try and, we had a facial wash that came out, and we pulled it quite quickly because from me agreeing the formulation to them putting it into the bottle and the pump things, it changed, and I was like, it's not what I agreed to, so it's coming off. So it's a long journey. It's a long process.
I'll send you the details for the people.
Please do. Yeah. It's always good to have connections.
Well, we've almost done.
I know. Oh my God. Have we got anybody listening, or have they all gone to bed?
It's telling me we've got 17 people watching. So
oh, bless them.
It's been brilliant chatting to you, and I'm sure that there's people on here saying, you know, they're picking up tips like the concentrate on their bathing and try and get their bathing quicker. Again, my wife said she didn't know about the water thing, so that's another big win for us. We can have a look at that, maybe look at water filters and stuff like that.
I mean, I've got the Julie Harris Education Facebook page, so do go on there and like and follow it, because we're constantly doing tips and we're doing all sorts of things like that, just to keep knowledge going, really. You know, it's all just there for people to just log into and have a bit of fun with. And share a lot of them. We do tips on a weekly basis to share for your owners, so caring for their dogs at home, so it keeps your Facebook pages in the forefront of your owners as well, makes them feel that you're a professional. I don't mind you sharing any of my work, I really don't. The more we can push the industry to make it more professional, I don't care where it comes from.
Definitely. And you know, this will be downloaded and go onto YouTube, so again you can share it with your followers, so they can watch you, and then anyone who hasn't watched this live, they can find it a lot easier as well, rather than scrolling through all the group trying to find it. So it's been brilliant, and there's lots of thank yous coming in. Obviously you're in the group, so you can have a look.
I'll have a look. So if I'll whiz through the group while I'm having a gin and tonic now, and if there's any questions I haven't answered, I'll pop in a few comments. All right.
Yeah, make sure you update your details and update the websites and things like that for us. That'd be great.
That's okay. It'd be lovely to talk to you. And you're running a fab page. You really are. It's really great. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. Take care, and we'll
take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.